happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Now, generally speaking, I don't like to telegraph the main point at the beginning by stating it out front, but there's a lot going on today. It's Mother's Day, and Dr. Cohn already gave it away. So I want to make sure that we're all in the same mind and don't confuse my message. We're talking about failure today. My argument to you is that failure is scary, but failure is good for us. Not only is it good for us, but it's necessary for us to experience it because it moves us to grow. And finally, failure is not only good for us and not only necessary for us to grow, but failure can be beautiful, and it should be celebrated for its beauty. If you don't mind me saying so, I've had a very real experience of failure this morning. I checked my email to discover no one else on the worship team knew what was happening today, and no one had gotten my order of service. I can tell you all my good reasons for this, and I had good reasons for why I should be forgiven and why everything should be chalked up to the Holy Spirit and not my own mistakes. But that's not what we're talking about today. The message isn't about explaining away our mistakes or avoiding accountability. The message isn't about coming off looking good or avoiding blame. It's about the art of failure. So I will do my best to admit, I failed. Thank you. When I admit to my failure, often people tell me that it's okay, and I'm forgiven when I didn't even ask for forgiveness. Thank you. You know, I don't mind telling you today that these words hit me in a particular way on Mother's Day because I have deep memories of failing today in particular. I ask what child, daughter or son, husband or partner or wife or parent themselves hasn't had that experience of feeling like they failed on Mother's Day. It's just a show of hands if you've ever felt that way. That's all right. I can speak for myself when I say that I second-guess myself every year, all the way up until Mother's Day. And then, no matter how intentionally I celebrate the motherers in my life, and I say that because anyone can mother, the day is often flattened into a celebration of femininity or female parenthood, but we do well to remember, I think, today that we can all mother, and we have all been mothered by people of different genders and persuasions. So I try to celebrate the motherers in my life, and without even getting negative feedback, I'm already determined that my efforts are unworthy, all by myself. I say, I have failed at Mother's Day, even when all I've heard was thank you. I see my gestures as small all by myself. I feel meaningless compared to the depth and breadth of meaning that feeling mothered can bring to me. All around me, what I see are my missed opportunities to honor motherers that don't get enough recognition or appreciation. Now, for those of you who do celebrate Mother's Day, I wish you a happy one. If you didn't do enough, I forgive you. And for those who don't celebrate on Mother's Day, or who today experience themselves going uncelebrated, may you find peace in affirmation and being seen today. Because I know not everyone celebrates Mother's Day. Mothering is not always a choice we make. For some, becoming a mother is not a choice and not altogether joyful. For others, today is a sad reminder of something that will never come to pass. For others, it is a reminder of people who are not with us. Mother's Day can be a chance to acknowledge a woman rarely present, or even an ever-present caretaker. We find this tension also in the discrepancy between the definition of being a mother and the role mothers are expected to play. Consider for a moment, a mother is simply a person who bears children, and not even a person. A creature who bears children is a mother. In definition alone, this is simple, but the role of mother in our society is deep and broad, and frankly, the role can be summarized in the word perfection. Mothers must be, in the words of St. Paul, all things to all people. I encourage us today in particular to consider this mothering context. Without laying accusation or blame on the women in our life overburdened by the responsibility of perfection, we can all agree that many people long for maternal care. Here, mothering is part of the care that we may have received or may not have received. But in my tradition, it is the care we are expected to offer as a church. We cannot all be mothers, but we can all mother. And we all need maternal, loving care. I have on my mind today a friend who recently lost her mother. A friend who recently learned she will never be a mother. A friend who recently learned that she may not speak to her children again. A friend who knows her children do not want to speak with her. And yet another friend who is trying desperately not to become a mother and is finding it difficult because of the state she lives in. Church, we need each other, not just us here in this space, but we need each other out there in the world. That is a world craving for the knowledge of love and connection that we bring, a world craving to be mothered. We need each other now more than ever. And I will tell you that I have tried to meet that need most by becoming perfect myself, and it didn't work. Tell me you know about that experience a little bit. To get it right, you have to give up on being perfect, right? Yes. I don't want to miss opportunities, and yet opportunities pass me by all day long. I feel ineffective just because I'm imperfect. I try so hard to be perfect, not for the recognition that comes with it, not to be told that I am enough, but because I feel like that is simply what is expected of every one of us. To be perfect, to do everything that is needed of us, to become the hero the world doesn't seem to have. Mothers are also expected to become heroes. Some of us live up to that expectation, and some of us do not. Either way, the hero finds herself receiving higher and higher expectations as time goes on. The burden is a lot to bear. In the Disney movie Encanto, I cite Disney movies a lot because of my children. In the Disney movie Encanto, set in a fictional Colombia in South America, Luisa is a woman gifted with superhuman strength. She uses her incredible physical power to help the whole town with various mundane tasks, matching her strength with feminine poise and great virtuosity. In one scene, for example, she restores a church wall to its proper alignment with a shake of her hip. In another, she tosses grown donkeys over her shoulder. She sings about her feelings, however, to a little sister, not to her daughter. But I can't help but hear the voice of a mother expected to be superhuman. The lyrics are as follows. I'm the strong one. I'm not nervous. I'm as tough as the crust of the earth is. I move mountains. I move churches. And I glow because I know what my worth is. I don't ask how hard the work is, but under the surface, I feel berserk as a tightrope walker in a 3-ring circus. Under the surface, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service. I know that feeling. Who am I if I can't carry it all? Under the surface, I hide my nerves, and it worsens. I worry something is going to hurt us. Under the surface, I think about my purpose. Can I somehow preserve all of this? But wait, if I could shake the crushing weight of expectations. Would that free some room up for joy or relaxation or simple pleasure? Instead, we measure this growing pressure. Watch as she buckles and bends, but never breaks. No mistakes, just pressure. In this song, Louisa is describing an experience of being overwhelmed by expectations. And church, let me tell you if you have ever felt this way. Overburdened by the expectations to perform perfection, to be palatable to a community of like-minded people who likely are just trying to perform perfection too. What is the problem, my friends? I don't think it's us. I don't think it's the people who seem to be asking too much of us. If I had to guess, I would say that the problem is our world gives us a small definition for success, and we love it. It gives us also a vivid, shameful definition for failure, and we are scared of it. What is the reason that we lust so hard after success? And that's not a question I really have an answer to. I don't know why we want success so bad, but time and time again, I find myself striving for success, for perfection, and yet I also seem to find what Dr. Cohn calls ultimate success, not through perfection, but through my failures. I get proven wrong time and time again when I try not so hard to be perfect and instead try to be myself, or at the very least try to be honest and real. What I hear people say is, "That's okay," or better yet, "Thank you." They say, "It's not your fault." I get forgiven without ever asking for forgiveness. I say, "I'm sorry." People respond with, "Well, you shouldn't." No, they respond, "That's okay." Some of you are still awake. I appreciate it. You know, when I miss the mark and I have to walk back my efforts, I often discover that I didn't have enough information to do it right the first time anyway. I often discover when I slip and fall and get muddy that I have to struggle not to laugh at myself because it's a funny thing to trip and fall in the mud. Well, it can be. When I lash out at those who I care about and who care about me with strong feelings, when I cause harm that I don't intend, that is a failure. It's not meant to be explained away, but it's only when we have the experience of being fully honest, when we see our failures and admit to them, admit to the presence of failure in our lives, whether we like it or not, that we can allow failure to shape us. It is then we can reap the benefit of failure. And there is a lot of benefit to reap when we fail. Because failure means making choices, not being afraid to be not perfect. This morning, church, this very morning, when I was getting coffee, in front of me was a woman who had a shoulder bag, and on her shoulder bag it said, "I choose not to try to be perfect today." And it washed over me because I knew what I was coming to tell you all today, and I saw that bag and I felt affirmed because I know I'm not the only person thinking this way. We do not have to be perfect, and this is not the only place where anti-perfection gets preached. We can go out in the world and discover humanity all on our own. Church, what if we admit to each other and to ourselves that it is really difficult and unsettling to try to be perfect? What would it look like if we gave up the need to be perfect? What would it mean if we stopped holding those around us accountable for an invisible perfection that they don't even see? What if we admitted that it's hard to live alone and take care of ourselves and try to be perfect with no help? What if we stopped wishing things would go back to the way that they were and admit that things weren't that great then either? That we're just scared to admit that the failure here and now is somewhat exhilarating. Ultimate success doesn't look like never tripping and never falling. Ultimate success looks like laughing at yourself for it. Ultimate success doesn't look like a happy confidence. It looks like wiping tears. Ultimate success is sharing bread, sharing anything, and stooping low to touch someone who's lying on the ground. Ultimate success is not winning. Ultimate success is not defeating the losers. No, ultimate success is being safe with others. Ultimate success looks like being vulnerable and finding in it meaning. Ultimate success, friends, looks like joy. It looks like inappropriate joy, let's call it. And now I'm speaking directly to you whom I love, whether you have enough of this joy to get by or not. Whether you're scraping by with sadness and depression and loneliness and you don't want to say it out loud, that's okay. Whether you are here in this space holding it together or whether you can't be here and you're bedridden at home and sad and afraid and lonely. Whether you are here with us in body and spirit or drifting away in your mind's eye, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're bringing here. It doesn't matter even whether you were into that talk of Jesus that I had earlier or not. That's okay, because ultimate success looks like being willing to fail and be vulnerable together. What if we stopped trying to be perfect and instead tried to just be ourselves and just tried to show up? Whether you are lifted now by the presence of friends or strangers or scared because the sermon is soon going to be over and you'll have to talk to someone, that's okay. It doesn't matter whether you're here for a long time or wandered in and don't know what he's talking about. Ultimate success doesn't look like pretending you know what's going on. It looks like just being yourself. And when you fail in this way, failure is beautiful. It's something you can only see when you give up on trying to be perfect. I like your thumbs up. Realness is gorgeous on people. People glow when they're true. You may remember talking to me about joy many, many months ago, and I said joy isn't a reflex, it's divine intervention. Joy shows up by accident. Joy is not perfect. Joy overflows. Joy overreacts. Joy explodes and is yet not destroyed. Joy is contagious, but joy is not always obvious. Sometimes we feel joy we can't speak. Sometimes joy looks like tears. But we miss the mark when we say that joy is ours, that we earned it by doing right, that we earned joy through our success, that we are joyful because we deserve to be joyful. Ultimate success is not obvious, it is joyful. You know, the parable of the starfish thrower comes to mind again, and I'm sure you've heard it in other places. As the story goes, a passerby notices thousands of beached starfish and an individual who's tossing them back one at a time. And when pressed, the starfish thrower says, "I know I can't save them all, but I can save these ones." You've heard that. I'm sure some of you have heard that. And I'm sure you can conjure similar images from your own experience or from your own life. Images of hope in times of despair, images of doing the little thing in face of great need. I'm sure you can conjure up experiences that you have had of joy in times of pain or in times of grief. I am not the only one with these experiences, and I say that confidently because I see you nodding, and I appreciate it. No, ultimate success in times of obvious failure is beauty and truth. We miss the beauty in realness, and the truth in connection when we try instead to be perfect, because the loveliness of human life comes from our mistakes. If we are still trying to get it right, then we're not awake to the art that is our failures. The art of failure is beautiful all by itself. And if we must fail, let us fail joyfully, because this joy that we have, it didn't come from us. It was given to us, and it will never be taken away. Amen.